what types of questions or concerns do I hear from caregivers? Was that the
Mhm.
question?
Yep.
Just broadly speaking?
Yeah, I think so. Just maybe themes.
Hmm. Well, I think so. What I hear from at Metal, what I hear from when caregivers reach out, very often it has to do with sort of the basics of caregiving. What do I do? My husband, my wife, my loved one, whatever it is, my neighbor, whatever it is, I is in need, and now I'm being summoned to help. How do I do it? So some of it is some of the questions that come up are what are the mechanics of it. So like we talked about today, the activities of daily living, the tasks. Um, but what's not quite so obvious are the sort of emotional attunement that needs to happen to be there for someone in a thorough way. And also another big piece of this puzzle is bearing witness, just not doing anything, but being there with someone to see their life play out in a way to validate that person's life by witnessing. It's a primal, beautiful thing. So those are so much of the modes of caregiver. And so people ask me oftentimes how to do those things. But oftentimes it comes back to self care. How do I take care of myself while doing these other things too? That's often a big, big piece of this picture. Pushing back on burnout and compassion fatigue, and how do you stay engaged and full of love, etc. And then lastly, I'd say a big thing that comes up is what to do when the caregiver and the patient feel differently about a situation. So it's really common that people will stay close together, good communication, checking in with each other, and the patient's wishes sort of tend to rule the roost as it should. And oftentimes people find a way to stay close throughout it all. But it's really common that differences of opinion crop up. So a caregiver might want a family member to take on this or that kind of treatment, but the patient, left to their own devices, doesn't feel up to it, doesn't necessarily want to, or vice versa. That's pretty darn common. So as a caregiver, what do we do when we think the right way forward for the patient is different from what the patient thinks? That is a typical situation. Name of the game there is talking it through. And as a caregiver, being really clear about yourself. What are my projections onto this person? In what way am I meant to be there for this person on their terms? Versus what am I projecting onto them? Ultimately, it needs to be about the patient's wishes. But patients don't make decisions in a vacuum. We affect each other. So it's true too that caregivers' feelings, opinions deserve to be in the conversation. So back to exquisite communication, and that's what we spend a lot of time on.